It's a beautiful day, and I bid you a warm welcome to the studios of Poly TV Ilaro. It's time once again for newspaper review and analysis. My name is Femi Afolabi, and I have here joining me in the studio Mr. Deji Adeyemi, the veteran broadcaster, public affairs analyst, and of course a publisher. Egbon, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Femi. I'm glad to be here again.
Okay, you're welcome, as usual. Today we're starting on, let's say, insecurity come politics note. The front page of a Tribune newspaper says Benue Sheikh killing. Senate seeks probe decisive actions. And a lot of riders, Benue State, Plateau State, are calling for decisive action by the federal government on the insecurity that is ravaging those communities. Perhaps we want to talk, we want to interrogate this. By this time, should we be calling for probe of anything that happened on insecurity rather than what government would do decisively?
As a matter of fact, it's not about probing now. And it may just have been a misuse of word. What the government or the military should be doing is intensifying efforts or their actions in taking off these evil minds from the surface of the earth. It's not about probing. What is there to probe again? The federal government has since declared an emergency on insecurity, and the rate it is growing, it alarms anybody. Anybody following the trend, you just find out that this seems like an unending spectacle or an unending, thing that one is fearful for the peace of this country. Look at, they have now turned Borno State into the insecurity capital of Nigeria.
Well,
this year alone, there have been 2 major attacks in Borno State. And you see, one thing that even amazes me is that how did the bandits or terrorists, how did they manage to take 415 people hostage? How did they move them from wherever they might be? And has technology failed us such that we cannot know where exactly they are? And even though I'm not asking that they go in there to go and rescue them violently and the rest of it. So, but in the meantime, as it remains, this is not about probing again. It is about intensifying efforts, but in whatever manner, kinetic or non-kinetic.
Well, on the second look, I think the probe might not be out of place. Because when you look at the nature or how those attacks came about, the last attack in Borno State, a general was killed.
Yes.
And we had information that the general was even calling for backup. No backup came. And about 24 hours ago, a senator from America was saying Nigerian officials were complicit in what is happening in Benue and Plateau State. Maybe if the Senate really probe what is happening, wherever maybe what we call it, surveillance and intelligence is failing us, maybe they will be able to track down, okay, what exactly is causing that kind of repeated...
I agree with you, because there's an urgent need to probe this shenanigan. What I mean by that, to get to know the backgrounds, the interconnectivities or interconnections that are in place and the rest of it. Because, okay, now, they have taken 415 people hostage. I bet that those people, they will be giving them something to eat. What's the route of food that goes to them? Supplied. And apart from that, even the logistic of transportation. How did they move them? Was it by just walking? 415 people walking? you can imagine what it is. So there's need, like you have just said, that they probe the core of the kidnapping and abductions and the rest of it. It is so sad, and I really feel for the people of Borno State and other communities up north who are going through this.
That particular report was titled in Vanguard as a debate over security strategy as Senate demand rescue of 416 captive. Already, those the captors of these people are already demanding 50 billion naira from federal government.
No, 5 billion naira.
5 billion, sorry.
Yes,
from federal government.
you know, the thing has reached a point that it looks like, where else do we go? They are talking about 5 billion naira to strengthen their nefarious activities. And one wonders that how have we really reached a point whereby bandits or terrorists are negotiating with government and or negotiating with families. And of course, these ones are not negotiating with families. So I'm very sure that they themselves know that hardly will they get anything from the families.
Well,
but of course, they want government to bring the money. So it's a pity. Government needs to just go all out and do something. Because with these ones, in fact, maybe they give 72 hours deadline.
Yes.
So you can imagine the state the relations of these people would be, because those guys are just impossible people. They said that they will start killing them. These are children and women and elderly ones. So it's a very terrible thing. I hope government will just continue to do what is right.
Okay, let's go to judiciary, politics.
Okay.
The Punch newspaper today on its front page says 2027 suspend as Supreme Court delays PDP ADC verdict. Yesterday, people were looking up to the judiciary, waiting for what is going to happen, the way forward. And suddenly, the Supreme Court says it is reserving its judgment on what is going to happen, PDP and ADC forthwith. So it's kind of suspends people. People don't know what is happening. And people were believing that this kind of judgment is something that should come as quickly as possible so that those in two political parties will know where to belong in the next couple of days or months.
It's not about months. In fact, in the next couple of
days or weeks.
Few days. Because the Supreme Court, that's the apex court, they have all their rights to adjudicate quite perfectly or near perfectly, if that will serve. But in the meantime, I was thinking that it will just be a situation that in 24 hours they do it. Maybe they are waiting for some other time they said they will invite the people involved when they will come up with their ruling. And it might just be tomorrow. It's still this week, and it was yesterday. So, but the longer it takes for the Supreme Court to give a judgment, the tighter it becomes for PDP and ADC. Because every minute they are losing grounds. And of course, the APC is just moving on. But we just wait and see what will happen, because they themselves must have had a string of plan Bs and that, because yes, you see, but what interests me is that it is the Supreme Court itself, sometime last year, in a ruling that said that internal affairs of parties are not justiciable. So, and it is this very internal affairs matter that they have gone back to the Supreme Court to talk about. So what I'm saying is that, well, let us wait and see, because I accept the reverse themselves.
That very point of law that you just raised was the point of defense of the ADC counsel yesterday.
Okay.
At the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Because he told them that it is one of your judges, it's a judgment that internal affairs of political parties should not be the business of the judiciary.
Of the courts.
Now that we are here. So just
yes, let's just wait and see how that goes. And because everybody is now working at the elections 2027. Maybe we'll have to do something. Look at insecurity. It even befuddles me. In fact, only that some of my friends will say crucify him. I would have said that let us pause elections and finish off with these terrorists and bandits. But I can imagine what will happen.
Well, still on politics, front page of a Tribune newspaper, a minor report on the masthead says Adelabu resigns to face Oyo APC Guga battle. At long last, Adelabu resigns.
Well, maybe he has had a rethink, and of course a kind of an assurance of himself to go battle in Oyo State. I think Adelabu has been interested in the position for quite some time. It's not his first time, and of course, definitely he must have garnered a lot of experience and resources. But when he was giving his when he made the president, I learned that he in fact presented a kind of a white paper or a proposal on electricity and what should be, because that could be a yardstick of how people will perceive him. That demand that all the time he was there. In fact, our electricity thing kept going down. But all the same, I wish him well.
He in fact gave a roadmap into how Nigeria can have a good electricity. Kudos to him. But my own thinking is that maybe at the long run, he was able to know the fact on ground in Oyo State. Because before now, what we've been hearing was that Sharafa Ali is the consensus candidate of Oyo APC, having gotten the backing of Mr. President and of course Olubadan Ladoja. Maybe he's been able to discover that it is a ruse after all. So let me just go there, because I don't see him entering the race if PBAT had given consensus to somebody else.
He had now been given a reassurance all over again that don't worry, just go and do that. So we never can tell. So well, let's just leave it at that.
Okay, something similar to that, still on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, is this story: ex-finance minister Edo resigned on health ground. After he was ousted from the office, we initially heard that he was sacked, and now the information from presidency is that he resigned voluntarily. People have been saying different kinds of things, that the ex-minister is battle-headed with the current administration because he has some position that is that's contrary with what the present government is saying. But the presidency is saying he resigned on health ground.
Yeah, I think the issue is that in fact the news got to people firstly via social media before the mainstream media. And what you find out is that sack is the language of the social media. Resigned seems to be reserved language and all the rest of it, no. But in the meantime, I don't see any reason between the former finance minister and the president. They have been together for ages. It won't be a situation where he would be asked to, he will be sacked. He could be asked to resign. And of course, if the boss says, just go and resign, you just go and resign.
Yes.
And truly, there have been news all over alleging that it wasn't in tandem with on the same page with the present administration.
Because some of the policies.
Yes, but I want to believe that having left the cabinet without, on health grounds, could be a more acceptable option, or rather excuse or whatever, because about 3 months ago or something, he was said to have collapsed somewhere and he rushed to the UK. It was in the UK we started seeing him at an exhibition, Tate, and all the rest of it. But in the meantime, he may just not be healthy enough to continue with the position, because don't forget that he is the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister for
the Economy.
Those are two
It's a powerful position.
very powerful, and it has to be somebody who can really give all that will be there. Oyedele is a younger person. In fact, somebody was calling him a digital minister. Of course, definitely, but all the same, those are semantics, whether digital or not.
Okay. Let's look at something that directly relates to the economy again. The masthead of a Punch newspaper. There's this minor report. Federal government plans to borrow ₦1 billion via April bond. We're borrowing again, and of course we have 158 trillion naira outstanding as a total debt. So we are borrowing 700 billion again. Naira.
Thank God it's not $700 billion. Well, anyway, I don't know how, if you borrow, I've said it somewhere, maybe, that if you borrow and we can see what you are borrowing for, and it can work for the people, okay. But in the meantime, this time around, this borrowing spree, I don't know how are we going to even repay them?
I reminded you last week that your own portion of the total debt is 774,000 naira.
My own portion.
Your own portion.
Payable whenever, as I said. But in the meantime, we should slow down at this borrowing thing, because the resources are here, or bring foreign investments to come and process and work here, such that we also will benefit from the fact that, because this investment will definitely bring up money or bring up development. So, but just taking money and bringing it here, like they say, to be looted or relooted by some people, then of course just leave it.
Well, this is another national story that is threatening the public health, as it were. On the masthead, just below the masthead of a Daily Trust newspaper, there's this running story: COVID-19. 10 suspected cases identified in Cross River. COVID-19, 10 suspected cases identified. As of yesterday, it was just one. And that is a Chinese. It's been isolated. But the National Center for Disease Control began contact tracking. And of course, as of this morning, they've identified 10 carriers of the
virus,
of the ailment now. So we have 10 suspected COVID patients in Nigeria. So what should Nigerian government be doing now?
We should just be on autopilot to kill it there, that is the virus. Because if the thing spreads again, you can imagine what it will be. And we are a nation of people, and we are very mobile. We move all the time. Somebody would have been cooking for the Chinese, somebody would have been taking him around as a driver or whatever. So, and those ones have
relatives, dependents.
So, I just hope that this will be taken as full job, and then tackle it before it spreads.
Okay, that is a message for Nigerians, especially those in the health sector. Do everything possible to curtail it there in Cross River State so that it doesn't spread throughout Nigeria. We all remember what Nigerians or what the world went through when we had COVID-19 about 5-10 years ago, and we don't want a repeat of such an experience now that our economy is very fragile.
Yeah,
this is very bad. So that is the program this afternoon, and before I go, let me once again thank sincerely Mr. Adeyemi for his thoughts and his submission.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back tomorrow with our fresh edition. Have a nice day.